What's better than earning money from a 9-to-5 job? It's earning money while you sleep, which is made possible if you start investing. You're listening to the Real Estate Investing Demystified with your very own dynamic duo, Ava Benisaki and August Biniaz. Tune in as we discuss everything real estate, both on the passive and active sides. We feature life-changing stories of today's real estate leaders that will help build your own roadmap to success. This is the show that will lead you to a diversified portfolio, a much bigger revenue, and a next-level venture that brings you a smooth cash flow. Let's get this episode started. All right, everyone, welcome back to Real Estate Investing Demystified. It's a beautiful sunny day where we're at.
It's a beautiful sunny day. We're working out of the office. The world is on fire when it comes to the debt market and the equity market and the banking system. It's it's interesting times. I mean, we were watching the Fed increasing interest rates, 25 basis points, 50 basis points, and it kind of looked cute almost, discussing about it, posting about it. Next thing you know, banks are failing. General partnerships, general partners are in distress, deals are in distress, commercial real estate. The office space is about to implode. So interesting times are happening in real estate and the economy. But we're here, and it's about, as a general partner, as an investment firm, is about being resilient and going through these times. And our guest today is an extra special guest. She's coming back on the show again. She's been on our show before, but
she was on our show 2 years ago. How time flies.
Yes. Melissa Houston. We're very excited, and she's going to talk to us about the foundation when it comes to finances in relations to a business. She's authored a book recently. But why don't you tell our viewers and listeners a bit more about our guest?
And this is really important stuff, guys. If you're a business owner, and you really need to get the finance part down first if you want to have a successful business. So we're really excited to dive into Melissa's mind today. So a little bit about Melissa Houston. Melissa Houston is a CPA. She's a speaker, an author, and is the founder of She Means Profit, a podcast and blog that teaches successful business owners how to increase their profit margins so they can keep more money in their pocket and increase their net worth. Now, Melissa is the author of the Simon and Schuster book, Cash Confident, and a contributor at Forbes Woman. Now, we believe this interview with Melissa today will bring great value to business owners looking to scale their business and survive the turbulence. Welcome to our show, Melissa. Welcome back to our show.
Welcome back.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. We're really excited to have you. I want to get right into things, Melissa. We talk about, 82% of businesses fail. Why is that? And how can this be avoided?
It's such a high and scary statistic. And the majority of the reason why business fails is because of a lack of financial management. Financial mismanagement is the number one reason why businesses fail, and it's usually due to cash flow reasons. And this can be easily avoided by looking at your numbers, knowing what your business numbers are telling you. And so many business owners avoid it out of fear or frustration, not knowing how to interpret the financial data. And essentially, that's why the book was written, to help business owners avoid this scary statistic.
Absolutely. And I think it goes like there's a percentage of businesses that fail in the first year, and then that percentage is even more in the second year. I think it just compounds. But I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just thinking about how the cash flow and stuff. Do you most of the business owners that you talk to, they start off probably having some money ready to go, and they try to plan that out and how they're going to spend that for the first little bit, and then maybe the business isn't taking off quite as they planned. Do they start going to the bank, trying to get out loans, go to their friends and family, try to get cash from really wherever they can?
Yes. And that is such a really good point, right? Because when you're starting off a business, there's so much cash outlay that you have to consider. And quite often business owners and entrepreneurs get in the predicament where they do run out of cash. But the thing is, and this is what I advise people all the time, is you don't wait until you're at the point where you've run out of cash and things are looking bad in your business to go approach a bank or different types of investors, because that's when chances are so slim that they will fund you in your business. You want to be proactive. So proactively managing your cash and having cash reserves once they get depleted you want to make sure you avoid that and get to the bank when things are going well so that you can apply for extra lines of credit or extra financing, or approach investors when things are looking good so that people feel more of a buy-in. They feel it's less risky to help you and they want to help you at that point.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Just being a business owner ourselves, starting a startup, August, it's absolutely insane how fast that money can drain.
It's insane, right? Yes.
You don't really think. You're like, oh, I got lots of money sitting there. And then before you know it, money goes
Yeah.
fast.
Because when we started CPI, we kind of had, and also certain businesses, like for example, a real estate private equity firm, we make most of our profits on the back end when a deal is divested.
There's not this stable, income coming in.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of learning lesson kind of on the job with us because we've closed on a few deals, but majority of our profits haven't been realized yet. So that was a kind of strain on us when it came to our cash flow, our burn rate, our run rate kind of concepts that we'll get into shortly as well. But there was a lot of learning on the job. And Ava has a saying is, you don't know what you don't know, right? It was, we weren't like, for us, there was another concept. Like I always, before starting CPI Capital, an accountant, I always thought about an accountant as a bookkeeper. After starting CPI Capital, I realized this whole accounting ecosystem, it includes accountants, bookkeepers, tax strategists, tax lawyers, cross-border accountants, advisors, controllers. I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not, but there's so many people involved that are also needed within a business to keep things going, or a CFO, a chief financial officer. There's just so many people involved to keep a business going. But how does a newer business, let's say somebody has a great business idea, if it's within, let's just talk about hypothetically within the real estate space, they have a great business idea and they're looking to build a business around that business idea. If it's short-term rental, if it's development, if it's multifamily acquisition, they're looking to start a business. How do they not overextend themselves by hiring or bringing too many of these consultants on board? And keep a business still going? Give us a kind of your thesis on that, because a lot of times I've also noticed that a lot of big groups actually bring on a CPA partner. A lot of times their partners is CPA. I'm like, hey, how did you, like, hey, they're needed within that business. They come on. But talk to us about kind of some things that business owners can use on how to scale their business, and who did they bring on first? Is it a bookkeeper? Is it an advisor? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's such a great question. You hit the nail on the head when you said, like, the accounting landscape is very confusing. People don't know if they turn to the bookkeeper or they think their CPA is going to be their tax accountant, and there's a lot of confusion. So to clear that up a bit, when you're first starting a business, you really need to look at how much cash you have and where you can allocate those resources. You should definitely be starting with a bookkeeper, and a qualified bookkeeper at that, because you want to make sure that when you hire a bookkeeper that they're going to do your books well. So when you do take your books for getting your business tax return done, that your accountant is not going to have to redo their work. And that is a nightmare. And that actually is way less cost effective than actually just putting the cash outlay for a qualified bookkeeper at first. So I really put a lot of emphasis on this point, because in my over 20 years of experience, I have seen so many disasters come through the door where we spend 10 times longer and, at much higher rates trying to correct the mistakes of a bookkeeper than actually just doing the tax return. So having a bookkeeper is number one on your team for your finance aspect of your team. And then as your business starts growing, or as you need assistance, there's great professionals out there that are fractional CFOs. Those are so handy for small businesses now, because if you notice, every large corporation has a full-time CFO. But small businesses in the past have not been able to afford it, so they lose out on the senior guidance and advisory capacity that a CFO offers. So being able to hire them on a fractional basis is cost effective for small businesses. So a CFO and your tax accountant are two different roles, right? And I highly recommend that people use separate CFO and tax accountant, because your CFO is there to guide you throughout the year, where your tax accountant is a tax professional who spends most of their time, like they're the expert. They spend most of their time in taxes, and they are going to work with you with tax saving opportunities. They're going to work with you to do your corporate return if you're incorporated, or just, however you've structured your business, you will be doing that business return with your tax accountant. So having a bookkeeper, having a separate CFO or a fractional CFO, and having a tax accountant are really the three main types of financial advisors you want to have on your team. And you also mentioned, there's tax lawyers, there's all sorts of different financial experts, and those are typically hired on an as needed basis. You don't necessarily need to go in and hire one right away or put one on retainer if you have no need for them. So having a need for them, and then getting them through trusted referrals.
Got it. No, there's one more consultant or one more kind of brain power that's needed within the company that we have realized is because when we syndicate our deals, we have many different entities, limited partnerships, corporations, LLCs, but both through Canada and the US, and we have many investors that we have to send distributions to. There's tax filings for a lot of these entities. There's forms that we receive from different states within the US. What we realized that we needed in-house was that controller person, which is something that a concept I didn't even understand. I had done millions of dollars in real estate transactions, and I didn't understand the difference between bookkeeper and an accountant.
Yeah.
I thought it was just you take everything to this group and they do everything. I later on realized that they weren't even CPAs; they were accountant, and they were.
Yeah.
I realized that. But this controller, talk to us about this concept of controller for a more complicated company like ours. Maybe just very briefly talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because your controller is also your fractional CPA type of role, right? So having a fractional CFO or a fractional controller or a full-time controller, whatever you have on staff, there's different levels of seniority, right? Or different levels of needs. So with your business absolutely needed somebody who's in there understanding all the really sensitive tax laws that you have, right? And having a qualified controller absolutely would make sense for your business, but not every business would need that. So it just depends on how you've structured your company. So if you're, fully in Canada and you've got a couple of properties and it's not high traffic, you probably don't need one. And if you do, you can still get a fractional controller or fractional CFO on retainer. So the difference between a controller and a CFO is more, the titles can be used interchangeably, especially when you're talking fractional, but really you want to just make sure that you've got a qualified CPA doing the job for you.
Got it. And right before we get into the, discussing your book, which I think is very important, Ava had mentioned about She Means Profit is your podcast, and it's also a blog. But if somebody's listening, they're running a business and they do need kind of support when it comes to finance and CPA services or fractional CFO, does your group provide any of those services?
Yes.
Or connect them? Oh, you do. Okay.
Yes, we do. We do provide fractional CFO services.
Okay.
To small businesses.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. We'll put your contact so people can reach out to you, but let's get to the next part here.
Let's get to the book, because your book is called Cash Confident. It's an entrepreneur's guide to creating a profitable business. I think it's going to be released on May 16th.
It is.
So make sure you guys go on Amazon and get, pre-order your copy.
Absolutely.
So you can have that in hand.
I will be doing it.
We'll be doing it ourselves.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. But in your book, Cash Confident, you talk about a framework on business money management. So let's touch on a few of these points. So one of the points that you mentioned was how to create a financial plan for your business. Now, is this as simple as having a business plan? Like, talk to
business plans and business financial plans are a little bit different in the sense that a business financial plan is focusing solely on how your business is making profit. And this is by far the most favorite thing I like to do with my clients. And I encourage every business to have a business financial plan. Now, what this is you're assessing where your business is at currently. So how much revenues coming in the door, how much expenses are going out, your cash outlays, and then the difference is your profit, and understanding what your net profit margin is for your business. And then what you do with that currently is you build out a 12-month plan. It's like a forecast. You want, it's especially important if you want to grow and scale your business and you want to do it profitably. So when you map out the following 12 months, that is creating your business plan. So if you've decided that you want to grow your revenue, let's say 3% month over month, then you can plan that out and you can plan out the expenses that are going to go along with it. Because if your revenues increasing, chances are your expenses are going to be increasing as well. And if you're in a growth stage in your business, you want to make sure that your net profit margins are staying stable, because growth stages are cash suckers as well, right? And there's a lot of expenses, there's a lot of cash outlays, and it sometimes, depending on how fast you're growing, your business can either be, profitable, or it can be like starting over, where you've got all these cash outlays and you're not getting the cash coming back in the door until the end, right? Until the end of the sales cycle. So you just want to carefully plan out what's going on in your business so that you can monitor your results and make sure that as the year goes on and you're growing your business or just conducting business, that things are staying as planned. And if things go off the rails and you're monitoring it, you can catch these things before they become big money sucks.
That's right. Now, Melissa, what if the revenue growth doesn't go as planned? Is your first advice to your client, hey, you gotta pick what you absolutely need and cut the cost?
It depends, right? Every business is going to be different. But if you're monitoring your revenue growth each month, then you're going to catch it early, right? So if you planned on, let's just say for hypothetical, that your month was going to be $100,000 in revenue and you only came in at $50,000, you're going to catch that problem right away. And you're going to have that solution. So depending on what the issue is, then you'll know if you can resolve the issue and make back that money the following month. Or if it's more of a long-term problem, then yeah, you're definitely going to have to cut back some expenses to make sure that you are still maintaining a profitable business.
But just to touch on this a bit more, so again, I'm a little bit learning on the job. So you got the business plan, which includes what your business plan is and what have you, and then at times you talk about financials. Is a financial plan separate from those financials? Is a financial forecast? And who does this for you when you're running a small business?
So when you're running a small business, typically your fractional CFO would be doing this for you. A bookkeeper is not equipped to be dealing with, future forecasting and such in your business. There's a difference between the business plan, because the business plan is looking at the business as a whole. Like, it's going to take into your marketing efforts and distribution and all sorts of different elements of your business, where your business financial plan is including the forecasting of your business, and that focuses on the financial aspect of your business. So when you look at a business financial plan, it's really based off the income statement. And like, if you're looking at your profit and loss statement each month, you're going to, see that pattern and you're going to build on it for the year.
Got it.
All right, perfect. Okay, another framework you talk about is how to set up a money advisory board. Now, Melissa, what is that exactly? Like, we at CPI Capital, we have an advisory board, but it's not a money advisory board. So I'm looking forward to learning more.
Yes. So there's definitely the concept of, you've got your advisory board, which is very buttoned up and professional, where you guys need to have it, for the legalities of your business. A lot of businesses, corporations, they have their advisory boards that operate separately from the actual business. So they're giving impartial, objective advice to the business. Now, when I talk about money advisory boards to my small business audience, what that means more is surrounding yourself with people who talk about money, who you can have a conversation with, having that CPA, that tax accountant, that bookkeeper set up, having other colleagues you can call on, anybody who you can contact and just keep the conversation going about money is really important, because, like anything in life, when you bounce ideas off people, you get a different perspective. So unfortunately, money is the thing that most people don't talk about in business, and how their business is performing and how profitable their business is. So it's highly recommended that you get that circle of friends or colleagues or whomever, where you can have these profit conversations and really, sort of like, tie up those blind spots, have somebody else to bounce ideas off of, figure out ways to increase the profit in your business, all sorts of stuff like that, just to keep that money conversation going.
So just to differentiate, like board of advisor, I see it more as, obviously it's important to have it, but I see it as a bit of optics as well, right? You have a bunch of board advisor on your website, you're like, hey, this is a scrupulous business that they have these advisors, and you reach out to them as needed. But is the money advisory board outside of that is more actual needs you have and a conversation you have about money, and how do you go about sourcing this
it's less buttoned up, it's less required. Like small businesses don't require, like they're usually 100% owned by the business owner, right? So there's no legal requirement to have an advisory board, but it's always smart to have somebody looking in from the outside who can give you valuable feedback on how your business is doing, and what they may change or not change, or if there's any ethical issues, anything. Having that informal advisory board for small business owners is definitely a good way to sort of come at it from different angles and protect your business legally.
How do you connect with somebody that's going to advise you on them?
I mean, it's just like any other networking, right? So if you meet people that, you feel that you have some chemistry with, you've got a good rapport with, you feel like their expertise would be valuable, make efforts to keep them in your network, keep in contact with them, have these conversations.
Right on. Awesome, Melissa. Okay, let's talk about the next framework. How to recognize your business financial strengths and weaknesses. So does this kind of have to do with, runway and the burn rate concept, or cash flow?
It has everything to do with business, right? Because there's nothing in business that doesn't affect your profit line. So whether it's directly or indirectly. So any KPIs, which are key performance indicators that you want to cover or monitor in your business, this is where you need to do it. So you could be looking at, in inventory turnover, burn rates, your cash flow, how long it takes for suppliers to pay you after you've invoiced them, how productive your employees are. There's everything in business is measurable, and typically it's done through KPIs. And having those things on your radar, those things that are important to you, I mean, it's overwhelming to monitor absolutely everything. So your KPIs are going to change over time, right? So what you wanted to monitor, let's say in January, may be completely different in December, what you're monitoring. So as your business grows and changes, you're going to have things set up well, and then you'll move on to the next thing to improve, and then the next thing. So constant improvement in your business is just naturally going to happen throughout the life of your business.
Well, when I look at financial strengths or weaknesses, the first thing that comes to mind is, what is our greatest cost and what is our biggest chances of having an income, right? Like, for example, for us, when we put a syndicated deal, our profits are made on when the project is divested, years down the road. That's our biggest profit that comes in, and that's performance based, right? So we're kind of forecasting those profits coming in, and then kind of the I guess the weakness, or where the money is. Is it fair to compare strengths and weaknesses to kind of where the money's going and where the money's coming from?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely a number one. That's a really good point. You definitely want to be monitoring your revenue that's coming in and your cash that's going out the door, and where the strengths and weaknesses lie in that. But it doesn't end there. So whatever is going on in your business. So you may have, like, let's just say, for example, the process that you have in place for making a deal. Maybe you've got, and this is just all hypothetical, right? So maybe you've got a sales associate that comes in and helps you hammer out your deals, but you're noticing that it takes, the lead time for a deal might be, 8 weeks. And that it can be done in 4 weeks. So these are the type of KPIs that are non-financial, but still financial, because they are going to impact your bottom line. and you want to monitor these things, right? So like if it takes eight weeks, you have a chance of losing the deal, whereas 4 weeks, quick turnaround time, there's less financial impact. If you lost the deal, you want to make sure that you continue on those timelines. There's all different types of things that you can do that are still financially related, but not considered financial ratios.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This whole time we've been interviewing you, I think, and I'm speaking on behalf of Ava, we've been kind of looking at this from the perspective of startup business owners, people that build a business, start a business really, right? But can these foundations be used for somebody who's looking to purchase an existing business, all the points that you made?
Absolutely. Regardless of where you are in your business journey, whether you're a startup, whether you're buying a business, a franchise, whether you've been in business for years, even if you're in like the mature stage of your business, you can use this book, you can use the tips, because cash management and money management in business is constant. That never changes in business. That is never a new shiny object. People aren't looking for the latest and greatest. It is the tried and true method that's, pretty much never going to change. And you need to be cognizant of this information throughout your career as a business person.
Yeah, another quick advice I could give to people involved in real estate is a lot of time they don't realize they're running a business. So I know people who, own and manage short-term rentals. I know people who build single-family homes, the build for sale kind of business plan. They don't have an actual business that builds homes, so they see each one of these homes they build as a separate entity, but they actually have a business. So
each one's like a mini business.
It's
like
a
small business,
it's like a
right?
project, but they're running a business that manages all those projects. So it's difficult. So a lot of times real estate people don't realize that there is a business within all of these different deals that
it's a complete business. And let's say I met one of those people, they came to me and needed my services. We would put all those rental properties together under one umbrella and measure, okay, how much money are you bringing in for each unit? How much are your expenses for each unit? Are you making a profit on each unit? Because unfortunately, what happens with business owners is they're not looking at that, and they don't realize which property or product or service or whatever it is that they're investing in or selling is making money for them or not, right? So knowing, like, you may have a building, like let's say you've got like a huge complex and you think, you're making $3 million a year off it, and you think that that's fantastic and you're swimming in cash, but you're not monitoring the expenses. And maybe the expenses are like, you're constantly putting in repairs for this. You have to pay, for marketing, advertising, getting tenants, paying your supers, all sorts of expenses that are going into it. And if you're spending $3 million and $1, but your revenue is 3 million, you're still losing. You lose $1 each year, right? But a lot of business owners don't recognize it that way. They think that if the revenue's coming in, that they're A-okay, and they're not monitoring their expenses.
All right, before we move you have any questions, Ava? Before we move to the next segment, maybe give us some other advice when it comes to, mistakes you've seen new business owners make, something that they've missed. Now, this concept of bringing on a fractional CFO is a new concept. It's something that we've looked at possibly utilizing in the past. It's you have to be a little more sophisticated than the regular business owner. But what do you commonly see people that make a mistake that just by switching that or fixing that mistake, their business could be possibly more profitable, or it could save them from going in a bad place, bankruptcy or what have you?
I mean, the first mistake that comes to mind is business owners thinking if they're low on cash, that all they need to do is generate revenue. They have to come up with some way to generate revenue. But that is a very common misconception. It's a Band-Aid solution, right? So if you're not looking in your financial reports and understanding what your expenses are, and you've got these huge money leaks going out, but you're not aware of them, and you think just bringing in cash is going to resolve the issue, well, that's essentially the same thing as trying to put water in a leaky bucket, right? As much as you try, you're never going to fill that bucket because the water just keeps leaking out. It's the same concept with business owners. If you're not looking at what's going on in your business, and if you need help to interpret what's going on in your business, the business owners that don't invest in getting that help end up losing far more money than it would cost to invest in that finance professional to come in, help them either as a consultant or as a long-term fractional CFO or on, permanent payroll as a CFO. They don't relate that as, well, this person's not bringing in revenue, so they can't help me. But we are trained people to come in and put a stop to money leaks, show you where your profit is coming from, show you where you can increase your revenues relatively easy and low cost so that you are making and optimizing profit in your business. And then that profit is the gold of your business, right? Because you want a profitable business. You want to make sure that your business is bringing in money every month so you can pay yourself, so you can pay your team, so you don't have that financial stress keeping you up at night. Just having everything controlled and feeling financially confident. So that, in a nutshell, that's the biggest mistake I see small business owners making, is not investing in that part of their business.
I think, Melissa, you're amazing. And anybody who's starting a business, this was probably gold for you.
Or running a business too, not just starting.
Well, this is probably gold for people starting a business, because most of them are, I'll hire a CFO later. I'll hire that later.
They don't even know what a CFO is.
I'll have fractional CFO to boot,
please.
on top of things.
Most people don't know what a CFO is.
I don't have the cash for that right now. I'll hire that later. But really what this interview has shown is, hey guys, this is something that's very important to get started off the bat.
Perfect. Let's move to the next segment of the show.
Our favorite part, the 10 championship rounds to financial freedom. Melissa, I'm just going to ask you a series of questions, whatever comes top of mind.
Okay, I'm feeling the heat.
Okay, are you ready? First question, Melissa. Who was the most influential person in your life?
My dad. My dad is the person he's actually the first feminist I was ever, exposed to. And I never really realized it until I was much older. And he always encouraged me to make money, know what's going on with my money, understand how to manage my money, and just had that conversation with me about money all the time.
And that's beautiful that you listened to him, right? Because a lot of kids...
well, I had my teen years where I didn't.
There you go. That's really beautiful. Okay, next question, Melissa. What is the number one book you recommend other than yours?
The Wealthy Barber.
The Wealthy Barber. Okay.
The Wealthy Barber, and it's actually Canadian. David Chilton wrote it. And it is a classic. It must be over 20 years old now, maybe even more than that, maybe 30. Oh my God, I'm aging myself. But it is a fabulous book to really get to understand how your money can work for you.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Okay. If you had the opportunity to travel back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
That is a really good question. Invest earlier. I know these are all money related. Everything I'm telling you is money related. I'm not all money centered, but yes, invest early because time is on your side. Yeah. And the more you don't have to invest as much when you're younger than you do when you're older.
That's a common answer we get, by the way.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Oh, it is. Okay. We all kick ourselves for not doing it.
100%.
Yeah.
That's why we make podcasts like this for the younger ones to listen to all of our mistakes.
Exactly. Invest your money.
Next question. What's the best investment you've ever made?
My marriage.
Nice.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I married a good guy. And, I can't remember who said it, but I remember somebody saying the one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make that's going to have the most payoff in your life is who you choose to marry. And for whatever reason, when you said that, the first person that popped in my mind was my husband.
Love that.
Nice.
So cheesy.
No, so sweet. I love that. That's the best investment I've ever made too.
Yes.
Now, what's the worst investment you've ever made, and what lessons did you learn from it?
Can I answer a funny way? Because immediately I went to my kids. They just take the money.
Yes.
But no, in all seriousness, shopping. Shopping when I went through this terrible phase in my
years. I think I read that in one of your posts. Yeah, but keep going.
Yeah. So I blew through $100,000 of credit because I wasn't looking within myself and trying to figure out what was going on within me, and just, trying to cover up any pain or any discomfort I was feeling by spending money to try to make myself feel better by getting all these shiny new objects that really don't last. And that feeling of like feeling special or whatever, it lasts 10 seconds and then it's gone, right?
I always say, like, invest your money, and then off the cash flow you make, then go shopping with
Off the
that.
passive.
Yes.
Off of passive income.
Live off the passive income is smarter,
I think
which I did not do.
That's okay. I think everybody made that mistake in their life, especially when they're going through different stages in their life. Next question. How much would you need in the bank to retire today? What's your number?
That is such a good question. Such a good question, because, it's funny. I don't think of retirement. I do read a lot of articles where I see, 1 million is no longer the number, 3 million is the new number, all sorts of things like that. But I love what I do. And I'm not at that point where I'm thinking about, when am I going to retire? How much money am I going to need when I retire? Like, I feel pretty confident that I've got what I need to meet my basic needs, right? So knowing how much is enough, I don't really have that answer.
That's okay.
Depends on the lifestyle that you want to keep when you retire.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, next question. If you could have dinner with someone dead or alive, who would it be?
Oprah.
Oprah, very cool.
Oprah. Yeah, she is. I would have said Susie Orman, because I absolutely. Do you know who Susie Orman is?
No, I don't think so.
She actually, her claim to fame was being the financial advisor on the Oprah show.
Oh, wow.
And so she was a big influence in my life. But I was lucky enough to interview her a couple months ago.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I'll have to watch that.
Yeah. So it was.
I think Melissa's is a podcast, right? You have a podcast, right?
I have a podcast. Yeah, I interviewed her on my podcast. Had a good conversation with her for an hour. It was the highlight of my career, and I'm like, I need to aim higher now. So Oprah's my lady.
That is so cool. Just a really quick story about Oprah. My mom, I think I was probably 22. My mom said to me, "Hey, Ava, do you want to come to the Oprah show with me and your sister? Or do you want this $300 dress that I really wanted?" I chose the dress. And if I could go back in time, I would.
That would be what you changed?
Yeah, my sister was
Oh,
calling at the show, and they were like, so anyways, that's my quick story about Oprah. But yeah, she's amazing. All right, next question. If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what would you be doing now?
I'd be working full-time somewhere, just being miserable.
What if you had an option to do anything you wanted? Like
anything I wanted.
Yeah, like some people say they would be a race car driver, or they would have been a professional golf player. Like, is there something like magical or whatever, something out of this world that you would have done if you?
I would be running a not-for-profit organization and really helping people. If I had unlimited funds,
yeah,
that's exactly what I would be doing, helping the less fortunate.
Amazing.
I love that, Melissa. All right, Melissa, book smarts or street smarts?
Street smarts.
Okay, that was fast.
It comes from a book smart person saying that.
Smart person. All right, last question, okay? If you had $1 million in cash and you had to make one investment today, what would it be?
Oh, so cheesy. I'd invest in my kids.
Aww.
Put money aside for them.
Amazing.
Much as they're a financial drain, I would invest in them.
Amazing.
Yeah. Love your
Answer.
kids.
That's one of the best answers we've ever got. Usually the answer that I really like is them investing in themselves. But in your kids, I think that takes the cake.
That does.
All right. Awesome.
Melissa, what's the best way that people can reach you?
Go to shemeansprofit.com. There you will find access to a ton of free resources. My podcast is there. Sign up for the 5-step roadmap to a profitable business. And yeah,
Awesome.
connect with me there.
Really
Awesome,
appreciate it. Thank you for your knowledge and wisdom. We'll share all your information in the show notes as well. Really happy you came on here, and thank you.
Yeah, this was really great. Anybody listening, make sure you get in touch with Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Thanks, Melissa. Thank you for joining us for this episode. We hope this conversation enlightened you on how to win big in this highly profitable and risk-averse space. Get on your feet and embrace this world that offers so many opportunities just waiting for you out there. Continue your journey to becoming a savvy real estate expert by subscribing to the show at cpicapital.ca. Don't forget to leave a positive rating and share with your friends. See you on the next one.